Ask the Mayor. Your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth, Bob Headland, questions about the town and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, Ask the Mayor with Bob Headland.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Ask the Mayor. Thanks for joining us. I am your citizen advocate / inquisitor, Bob Headland. And unfortunately, our regular citizen inquisitor / citizen advocate, hope I got that right, is tied up in traffic on the North Shore. So I will be filling in for him. So thanks for joining us again. And Mayor, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask the Mayor. I hope you've had a great summer. We're taping this on the just post-Labor Day. So how was your summer? Well, Bob, my summer was great. I hope everyone out there had a great summer. Unfortunately, our summer here, work-wise, was marred by the tragedy of the senseless murders that occurred in July. But it was great to see the way the community rallied and came together after that. On a personal level, I think the summer went much too fast this year. But, we had some decent weather and my favorite time of year, so we tried to make the best of it. So I hope you had a good summer too, Bob. Great, well that's good to hear, Mayor. I had a good summer too, and it looks like our summer weather is extending into the early fall, late summer. That's good. We expect a nice Indian summer with all this global warming. Let's get right into the questions because we have a lot. Our first question comes from Melanie Donovan of North Weymouth. It says, electronic sign, Forver Bridge. Hello, Mayor and Jim. First, I enjoy the various shows, with the exception of Jim talking over the mayor while the mayor is trying to answer the question. Well, Melody, we just try to keep it lively here, My issue is with the two electronic signs in the northbound lane near the Forver Bridge. The first one appears to not be working and the second one not readable due to its location behind the first one. When will this be fixed? Thank you for your genuine concern and honesty to the people of Weymouth. From senator to mayor, you've made many visual and behind-the-scenes changes for the better of the town and its people. Well, I'm sure the mayor appreciates your kind words, and the benefit of not having Jim here with us today is at least I know where the Forver Bridge is. Well, I would have to kick this over to the mayor. Your response, Mayor. Thank you, Melanie, for the question, and I believe I noticed the defective sign in the last couple of days myself, I think. But I did see it on the southbound lane, so there might be some additional problems over there. I do know that those are of temporary nature, and some of the work is being completed on the Forver Bridge. It's been publicized that the lighting system had not been completed. I know that there's electrical work going on, and the remainder of the demolition of the old temporary bridge is just recently completed. So some of the site work associated with having taken out the footings for the temporary bridge is still going on, the reconstruction of the park. So I would suspect that pretty soon you're going to see the temporary signs actually out of there, but we'll take a look and make sure MassDOT takes care of that defective message board sign, which is the one I believe that you are referring to. And just on a quick note, Bob, the comment about Jim speaking over me, we're going to have a discussion with him about that. But I will note that over the past week or so, somebody stopped me and mentioned, they said, I like what your right-hand man is doing. And I thought they were talking about a staffer here in Town Hall, possibly my chief of staff, possibly someone else. And then they referred to the show. And I said, what do you mean right-hand man? And they said, that guy Jim there, your right-hand man. Just to set the record straight, in the interest of full disclosure, Jim Melody is not an employee of the town. He volunteers his time serving as the citizen inquisitor. And I think Melanie, in the question, did she ask about a guest host? Melanie, the job is yours. If you'd like to write back. I think
that was Ron Boudreau.
We'll bring up that later. So somebody else suggested a rotating guest host, so we'll talk about that. Especially since Jim Melody's in the doghouse for not showing up for this taping. So let's get to the next question.
Okay, Mayor. Well, nice to see you today.
Thanks for jumping in Jim's absence.
Oh,
I
sure.
thought I was going to have to do double duty the whole show.
Oh my gosh, that would have been really tedious editing. Poor Jeff. So Katie Keating wrote in, she's a concerned parent. Are there plans to put in any sort of light to aid children in crossing Middle Street, which we've confused it in the past with Commercial Street? So Middle Street getting to Legion
You
and Libby
confused
Fields.
it. We haven't confused it,
Oh,
have we?
okay. I noticed that there recently was a new blinking light put up to aid the crossing on Commercial Street to get to Legion Field. While I realize that the speed of traffic on Commercial is probably faster, I worry about the parked cars for school, town hall, and fields, as well as speeding cars coming over King Oak Hill when crossing at the designated
Yes.
crosswalk going into the main part of Legion Field. What can be done to help students from the neighborhood and Adams safely get to the new parks?
Okay, so excellent question. And I think maybe this did come in before, but it was written in not as concise a fashion. I think we are confused.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess that's a problem when we put up some new technology, the flashing pedestrian crosswalk signalization, which has occurred at the other side of Legion at Commercial Street. We've done it on Middle Street down at Shaw's and a number of other locations. Now, first of all, the town probably clearly does not have the ability to pay for these. And these were put up after we secured a grant for those improvements. We were successful in 2 different rounds of complete street funding to pay for pedestrian improvements, safety improvements, and the locations were determined based on an analysis of sight lines, of accident history, pedestrian issues, where there have been pedestrian accidents, in some cases fatalities. So that's how the determination was made. The sight lines on the Middle Street side of Legion are much better. The sight lines on the Commercial Street side have been a huge concern of the police department, the Park and Rec department, my office, and traffic engineer, because of the curves there, and because of the fact that people are using that road as parking. And we expect usage on that side to increase with the opening of King Oak Hill Park this fall. So clearly that was, from a scientific analysis and safety analysis, more of a need than on the Middle Street side, and we just don't have enough money to put these up on every corner, quite frankly. So that's the answer on why it was done there. And to be candid, I mean, you're not going to see anything done on the Middle Street side anytime soon, just because of the availability of funds. And I think there's probably a couple other locations that are in more of a need based on the data.
Right.
Of course, everyone is more concerned about the areas that they use too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You
So
see it
someone
every day.
who's in that part of town might not be as familiar with maybe an intersection that's in need in, say, South Weymouth. And we get a lot of that, so we have to kind of balance it out and look at the big picture, but it's an excellent question. And I know that as one who uses that crosswalk that she refers to with my son, I'm relatively confident crossing there. I do get a little nervous when you try to cross on the Commercial Street side, so I think that was a clearer need.
Okay. I also have kind of a funny follow-up, not really a follow-up, but
Okay.
something related to Legion Field, so that's why I was kind of looking through and pulling it up. So I'll read this to you. My name is Adele Barcelo, Barcelo with 1 L, like Barcelona, Spain.
And she actually wrote that, or
Yes.
are you
no,
adding that?
this is actually what
Okay,
she wrote.
Okay.
I live at, I won't say, in South
I've been to
Weymouth.
Barcelona, by the way.
Have you?
Yes, I was there for about an hour.
Oh, okay. Transferring planes?
Correct.
Very good.
Never got out of the airport, unfortunately. I hear Barcelona's beautiful.
Having moved from Braintree 6 years ago. So she lives up in our retirement community area of South Weymouth. I am very impressed with what you as the mayor have accomplished and feel Weymouth is headed in the right direction in many areas. I'm especially interested in beautification and environment. Are there any plans to become a leader in eliminating plastic bags in Weymouth? In addition, are there any efforts to improve signage in Weymouth? tasteless signage can undermine any attempts to improve the appearance of the community. As a very active senior...
Repeat that line again, please. About
tasteless
tasteless, okay.
signage can undermine any attempts to improve the appearance of the community. As a very active senior, I feel Weymouth needs to have a properly designed tennis backboard. Over my time in Weymouth, a backboard for tennis, like a wall.
Wants one.
She would like one.
Okay.
Okay. And she's contacted various counselors in the park department in this regard. The result being told to use the town building at Legion Field as a backboard, exclamation point. A collapsed net has been placed there, but this is almost humorous as it is so far back.
I laughed before she told me it was humorous.
From being a properly designed
I have
backboard.
seen people using it that way.
Okay, well, a nice comparison is one, of course, in our neighbor in Hingham. Thank you again for all you have
that hurts.
readily accomplished.
Our fields are better than Hingham's fields now, generally, I will tell you that.
Okay,
so where is Hingham's?
I don't know. She doesn't state that, and I'm not aware of where there's a backboard in Hingham.
All right, we have a three-part question here. Number one on the signage.
Sure.
Can you just give me the line again?
She's basically saying, you know, tasteless signage can undermine any attempts to improve the appearance of the community.
We take that seriously, and I think we've done, you know, tried to standardize our park signs. We've seen little neighborhood signs that we've done
Very
that
nice.
create some sense of identity for those neighborhoods and history. You know, I love go back, we've talked about it a lot on the show, but you know, Weymouth Heights, nobody knew that it was Weymouth Heights, and we brought back a little history.
The Idlewell's cute.
Where do you see the signage that we'll be doing and unveiling over the next couple of months at our new parks that bring back to life the history of who Lovell was at Lovell Field and who Dr. Libby and his wife were? And there's going to be a little narrative on their background.
Abigail Adams, unbelievable.
Those signage,
Beautiful.
right. So we've done a lot of that, and I agree with her. But in terms of tasteless signs, for instance, I work with Councilor Becky Haw in North Weymouth, and we have taken down 35, believe it or not, working with her and identifying them and working with the DPW. We took down 35 either beat up or obsolete or redundant signs just on Route 3A from the Hingham line to the Quincy line. So she's absolutely right that the clutter, and we have targeted, I have a little list right now that I haven't given to DPW yet of some other ones that I've noticed around town to take down. So that's a great question. Plastic bags, it would be a policy initiative that either I would have to start or the council would have to start. It would require, obviously, a lot of debate, and I think there'd be a lot of pushback, quite frankly, in a community like Weymouth. They've failed in other towns that are probably perceived as more progressive than Weymouth. So it's just something that I certainly haven't focused on, and I'm unaware that anyone on the council has focused on. If you want to start that discussion, you know, a good point of contact in addition to me would obviously talk to her counselors, and we can have that discussion. I think we're moving in that direction just through the marketplace. I know I've finally come around and I got my little insulated reusable bag. Mm-hmm. Somebody gave it to me. I didn't make the effort to go get it, but someone gave it to me, and I think it's kind of cool, and I keep it in my car now and I use it. But I think the marketplace, I mean, you see all this stuff about straws and everything.
Yes.
So you're seeing us go in that direction. I think that there's an awareness, and I think we're going in that direction. The marketplace will dictate it. The third part about the tennis thing, I'm going to tell you a little story because she mentions Hingham. I was on my bicycle. I was in Hingham, and I got on to Foster School, down to the playground. Back when kids would go to the playground on their own, and didn't have helicopter parents around.
Are you a helicopter parent?
I'm not a full no. I send my kid out on his bike into the neighborhood. I mean, I have geographical delineation that I tell him he can't go out on the main road and things like that, but so no, I'm really not.
Okay.
I hope his mother's not watching. But I went down the schoolyard, and Will McDonough, you remember him?
I do.
Will McDonough was hitting against the building, playing tennis against the building, because Hingham didn't have one then at this particular school. And two of my buddies showed up, and they were playing tennis. And I was just watching, and they challenged Will, or Will challenged them to a match. And we were in junior high school age, somebody decided to challenge the other with money. And they bet $5 on a mixed match where the two guys took on Will McDonough. And Will McDonough cleaned their clock.
I bet.
And they didn't have any money. And he said, pay up. And they didn't have any money. It was $5 they owed him. So he took my buddy's canister of the 3 brand new tennis balls and proceeded one by one to smash them into the swamp. And he taught them a lesson. It stayed with us. It stayed with us. But I don't know where Hingham's is. Maybe is it at the behind town hall? I don't know. But we will issue an edict we try to please all. We've done a good job on basketball courts, baseball fields, soccer fields.
The little hockey.
And I don't want Barcelo, is that the name? To be Adele Barcelo to be left out, feel left out, and we will look for an appropriate location. But I would suggest to her that in her age demographic, we have people now that have taken up pickleball over at the senior center that we have just constructed pickleball courts, and it is wildly popular. In fact, over in Hingham, I hear they've actually got a league, and that league is looking to expand over to the Weymouth location.
Wow.
So she might want to look at pickleball if she's an active tennis player.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But we'll look into find a location, and that's something obviously that's not of great expense to put up a board, so she doesn't have to use the thing that hit against the building at Legion.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you aware, Mayor, this is from Mara Cashman, no ability to pay taxes online. Are you aware that taxes due on August 1st? Town's website does not allow for credit card payment. I was told this is due to upgrades made by the town and the company that managed the credit card payments, which did not coincide. Since Town Hall doesn't take credit cards, this is a problem, capital problem for me. Can there be a grace period if the taxes are late?
I can't answer the grace period question, but when I came in, one of the things we did was use the resources at the state DOR's Division of Local Services to do an analysis of our systems here. They have a broader perspective, knowing best practices in all municipalities. We had them come in. We had the self-assessment, forgetting the proper verbiage of it now, but the self-assessment analysis procedures that we went through that looked at all of our systems. So we've had, since we came in, 3 kind of audits and look at our practices and systems. We got high grades in many areas, but we did get very critical view of our website and some of the systems on our website, which I didn't have to be told to know that. And I'm not a big tech guy.
Right.
I try to be diplomatic, but our website was a mess. Mm-hmm. So there's been some tweaks that are ongoing. I have some familiarity of what he talks about, that we've had some discussions, and there's an awareness of some changes that are ongoing, as he seemed to be aware of, through our CFO's administration of the tax department, tax collector's office. As you know, we've gone through huge personnel changes down there since I took over also, from the CFO all the way through that department. Yeah. So that's been an ongoing process to get staff in place over there. I don't know on what can be done on grace period and tax, late tax payments, because of how we're governed by state law on a lot of this. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot I can't specifically answer, but I will tell him in the big picture sense, there's an awareness of that problem that's being addressed.
Yeah, I also, because WETC is always around Town Hall at one time or another, and we recently bumped into a fellow who's trying to use a debit card at, like, maybe to get something at the town clerk's office, and he came out and said he was frustrated that they didn't accept his debit card or something.
Now that I was not aware of.
Yeah, so I don't know, I didn't even think of it, because that's not something I would usually come to Town Hall for, but
and I'm just stuck in the way I do things is, you know, I write
cash,
the check out and I put it in. And in fact, until I worked at Town Hall, I never dropped it off. And I'm really surprised at the volume of people that actually drive over here to drop it off as opposed to put the stamp in the mail. And that's another thing we're looking at is, you know, are the hours, because it's mostly retired and senior folks who do that.
Right.
You know, we've looked at
changing the hours of
It's a
tax
real
collecting?
problem to do that, and of course, we've got collective bargaining issues where people want
Personnel.
then to take Friday afternoon off, and if we were to like Hull, people point to Hull, expanded hours they have during the week, but they're closed on Fridays. Now, if I shut town hall down on Friday, I think there'd probably be some criticism, for certain departments, not all, but so it's a balancing act on that, but I think there's movement on that in the right direction.
So I don't know if you want to go back to some of the tragedy of last month. This letter writer wrote that, I hope you will see this email. I know that our town experienced one of the most heinous crimes possible. On Sunday, July 15th, everyone's first thought through the heartache was, what can I do? I sat at my kitchen table for 3 days making ribbons, all the proceeds going to the Chestnut family. My heart ached for the family as well as Vera Adams' family. But with every ribbon I made, I reflected with great sadness about another horrible tragedy, the loss of Officer Michael Davey,
Right.
which was on August 24th, 2009. He was sadly killed by an elderly driver while doing a traffic detail. I'm wondering if, when the town considers a memorial for Sergeant Chestnut and Vera Adams, would you also consider incorporating Michael Davey?
Yes. Now, the Vera Adams issue is settled. We've gone through the process and we were approved.
I saw that.
And a memorial, and the memorial committee approved the naming of a reading room at our new library. In terms of Officer Davey, I just had a discussion about this with the police chief this week, 2 days ago. And the reason that the conversation happened to come up, it was other things I was obviously talking to the chief about, but this came up because we were talking about the volume of and I got to be careful here because I said something that someone then repeated and took out of context and took it as a criticism, when clearly our actions have demonstrated that we warrant no criticism in terms of the support we provided the Chestnut family. But the amount of events that are coming in that people are just spontaneously doing without interaction with the police department has made it sometimes unwieldy. And one of the things that there was a discussion about, we've had, for instance, 2 requests came in, and there aren't requests that come in, people just do it. Mm-hmm. But 2 requests came in to have 2 road races on the same day,
wow,
honoring Sergeant Chestnut, and happens to be on Veterans Day.
Oh,
and it would
wow.
conflict with the same time that the services are going on. Mm-hmm. And Sergeant Chestnut was a veteran. And we have a big police participation in our ceremonies. And logistically, we could not have 2 road races going on that both entities wanted to have them finish at the same place, same starting time that conflicted. So in that case, we had to deny the request to use town facilities for that. I was just informed by the police department that there was a potential golf tournament that would be done that would conflict with an existing golf tournament that is done in recognition of Officer Davey.
Wow.
So you don't want to say no to people that are stepping forward to do things, but the police also want to be protective of something that's already ongoing on behalf of Officer Davey. Mm-hmm. So there's been some discussion about a group that stepped forward on their own that want to do something for Officer Davey, which I have green-lighted. If they can get some of the things they want to do to make it a reality, we'll get it approved by the Memorial Committee, and they're working on that. And we're going to have, as I've stated numerous times now, at some point when we think it's appropriate, in conjunction with the police department and the family, we will talk about a memorial, a permanent, official memorial by the town in recognition and in honor and in the memory of Sergeant Chestnut. So that's ongoing. I'll just mention that the Vera Adams thing, this is where I got in trouble because I made a comment and I couldn't attend an event that was held for Sergeant Chestnut. And someone questioned why I wasn't there, and this is on the heels of me being at 2 a couple nights previously. There are so many, it's unbelievable. And I made a comment that, there probably isn't as much coming in to the Vera Adams Fund as we anticipated. Mm-hmm. And somebody took that like diminishing the other thing. So this is a problem that, people are just so energized to do something on this and emotional about it. But I can say that, certainly the outpouring of and things that are going on, it has not abated at this point here where we're taping this in September. The amount of requests that we know of, and then the things just happen organically.
Right.
And people are walking into the police station saying, oh, we did this event and here's a check, and the police weren't even aware that the event was happening.
Right.
I mean, we've got an event, I think this week in Marshfield. For instance, the superintendent, a former chief of staff of mine in the legislature, they're donating the gate receipts from the BC High Marshfield football game to the Chesna Family Fund. So the momentum is still pretty significant on those fundraising efforts for the family. So
we're
that's
just going to get this really one quick in, and
Please
this will
do.
be the Chesna. Our friend Ed Hartnett, a prolific writer here, he says, hello, Mayor Hedlund, and times are a changing melody. Of course, Jim's not here. In the wake of the terrible tragedy on July 15th, would the town consider body cameras for the Weymouth Police Department? Would that be your or Chief Grimes' call?
It's Chief. I say it's Chief Grimes' call, and we've had that discussion 2 years ago when it was a little more topical than it is now because of the debate that went on in Boston at that time. Yep. It would be my call on funding if the chief determined that that's the route they want to go, but that doesn't appear to be something that the Weymouth Police want to take on as an initiative right now.
Okay.
And just to say, we have made significant investment with the police through our capital program and through grants on other advancements.
Right.
Protective things, tasers, which we never had, things like that. So there's equipment that a very lengthy list of equipment improvements that have gone on and training improvements that have gone for the police department.
And on the last episode, you asked Ed what he puts in his mug.
And he provided an answer, evidently.
Yes, he did say it's his favorite liqueur, a cold, satisfying Kahlua sombrero.
Oh, good. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Yeah, very fattening. Yeah. All right, well, we are running out of time, and if you wouldn't mind sending in your questions to askmayorbob@gmail.com. Mayor, would you like to close this episode out?
No, I think that you should, in the tradition of Jim Melody, suggest, stay tuned
No,
for...
because you and I constantly argue over 1970s children's programs. I will say...
Those were not children's programs.
let's see.
Batman had a wide adult following. Beverly
my
Hillbillies
goodness.
was the top-rated sitcom in the country for 3 years, I guess. It wasn't just children watching.
You even know the channels they were on.
For the most part.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think
how about Flintstones?
CBS was the network that canceled the Beverly Hillbillies, since I mentioned them, and they were getting high ratings, but they didn't like the demographic. They thought too many hicks were watching and not enough sophisticated urbanites.
Oh, which category would you have classified yourself? At the time. Weren't we all hicks when we were kids?
Well, I was too young when it was in prime time. And I grew up watching the Beverly Hillbillies on reruns,
Yeah, so did I, but
My favorite episode was when Granny was smoking crawdads.
Want to come with us, Granny?
I can't. I'm going down to the lake to smoke some crawdads.
Smoke some what?
Crawdads. But first I need a little pot.
I don't know what that is.
Crawdads are like they're crawdads. They're like little shrimp kind of things.
Oh, okay.
They're big in New Orleans, but down south. But someone interpreted that, a northerner like you who didn't know what,
I'm sorry.
a Californian that didn't know what crawdads were, thought that it was a euphemism for marijuana.
Oh, because
That
that's
was
where
that was
I
a
thought it
cutting
was
edge
going.
episode.
All right, can we say goodbye?
You can.
Flintstones. We're going to play Flintstones.
And use the clip of Fred in the Marlboro ad, or the Winston ad.
Yeah, buddy, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.
From the town of Bedrock, there a page right out of his story.